Built on 25 years of dominance, Adidas has just unveiled the 14th iteration of the Barricade tennis shoes, and this one is all about control.
The new Barricade is lighter, more stable, and for the first time in tennis, features a light traction outsole.
That patterned light traction outsole improves traction and durability, while making the shoe lighter than the previous model, a huge win for modern baseline battles.
And underfoot, a major upgrade. Light Strike Pro foam in the forefoot delivers improved energy return and a more explosive push-off, the first time it's ever been used in an Adidas tennis shoe.
In the heel, you've got Repetitor foam paired with new stability chassis, absorbing heavy impact and keeping you locked in during aggressive moments.
Fit and comfort also level up. A new last improves midfoot support, and increased toe spring promotes a dynamic stance, and a cushioned collar and tongue keep you secure and agile.
The classic white and black colourway stays true to Barricade heritage, clean, versatile and built for the modern game.
Premiering at the start of 2026 season, the Barricade will be worn by Kasatkina, Mukova, Tsitsipas, Auger-Aliassime and many more.
Priced at $170, is available now in women's sizes UK 3.5 to 10 and men's sizes in the UK 6 to 15.
Shop now at adidas.co.uk/tennis shoe or via the Adidas app.
The new Adidas Barricade, built on legacy, designed for control.
What's up, guys? This is Ben Shelton.
Hey guys, I'm Chris Eubanks, and welcome to the Chip and Charge Tennis Podcast.
Welcome to the Chip and Charge Tennis Podcast with me, Nick Morrell.
And me, Carl Babbage, for our Australian Open preview special.
Yes, Carl, we are a mere few hours away from the Australian Open getting underway, the first slam of the season at Melbourne Park. Carl, the draw was done on Thursday. We've had a few days now to digest it, to take it in, and overall, Carl, I think a pretty good draw. Also, this is our first ever podcast, which is going to be available to watch as well as listen on Spotify. So if you are watching on Spotify, hello to us. You can see our faces for the first time. It'll also be available on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, hit like, all of those things. Carl, how are you doing? How excited are you for the Australian Open? Just 3 hours away.
Yeah, man, I'm absolutely pumped. Don't know if I'll be able to stay up for this one. Actually, I might because it's a Saturday. I haven't got too much going on tomorrow, so obviously big day tomorrow where it all kicks off, the main draw and all that. So yeah, I honestly can't wait. I think it's a very interesting draw from the parts that I've seen. Quite smooth going throughout the entire thing. I think the seeds are looking good in every single place they've been put, and yeah, we'll get obviously a much deeper dive into it a little bit just in a minute. But yeah, for now I think it's going quite nicely, setting up for tomorrow. Obviously, how about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Australian Open for us in the UK means 15 days of pretty much no sleep, because obviously all of the tennis is going on about 4 a.m, so lots of early mornings. But yeah, I'm really excited for this event. I think we've got a lot of really fun first round matches, a lot of fun potential quarterfinal matches, and a lot of fun second round matches that we could have. And I think we probably should start, Carl, with the women's draw. I think probably because that for me is where most of the intrigue is, where most of the shocks potentially lie. We should start in the first quarter, which is the quarter where you find Aryna Sabalenka, the number 1 seed, which is obviously a huge shock to find her in that first quarter. Then you've got Jasmine Paolini, the 7th seed. You've got Clara Towson and Ekaterina Alexandra among other top seeds, as well as Raducanu, who is the potential third round opponent for Aryna Sabalenka. Our scheduled quarterfinal, if it went by seeding, would be Aryna Sabalenka against Jasmine Paolini. Carl, we probably should talk and start with Aryna Sabalenka, the favourite. I think it's probably fair to say in pretty much everyone's books for this title, definitely in terms of the bookies' books. But Cole, I mean, it's a potential Emma Raducanu that awaits her in the third round, and then if we were to go
Yeah.
off seedings, it would be Towson or Mboko in the fourth round, and then obviously if we were to go off seedings, Paolini in the quarters. How do you see this draw for Sabalenka? I think it's a pretty good one for her to kind of warm into the Australian Open. In
I would
the
say
early
quite
few rounds.
comfortable. Yeah, I would definitely agree. Comfortability is a very important factor for her right now. I think she's come off with a shaky couple weeks with everything that's been going on. Maybe not on her mind, but I think it's just good to have that nice start. Obviously, she's got a wild card in the first round, and either I don't know how to pronounce it, Chinese player or Pavlyuchenkova. So it's gonna be a interesting first two rounds, I think, and then obviously the third one. And it's funny, I was going to mention as well, it seems like Sabalenka does play Raducanu a lot of times in the year. I don't know if that's just luck
Um,
or circumstantial, but just a coincidence. Probably is, because obviously the draws are random after the C's. So yeah, I would definitely put them as a very close match. Again, I don't know how good Raducanu's playing. Haven't seen too much of her performance at the highest level so far at the early parts of the year. But I would definitely say Sabalenka's playing well. I think she's coming in with a lot of vigour, so she's really going to want to win this tournament and do as best as she can, obviously, in the early rounds, not drop too many sets, games, whatever, to keep her body fueled and ready for the later stages. So yeah, I give Sabalenka a very good chance. I think probably her toughest contender will either be Emma Raducanu or like we obviously said before, the seventh seed Jasmine Paolini. But I think she's still got quite a comfortable way to the quarterfinals. And if we have to predict it early or predict it just saying, I will probably put Sabalenka to get to the quarterfinals there. Nick, what are your thoughts on that top half of the quarter?
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely putting Sabalenka into the quarters. I think Raducanu will be an interesting one if she gets to the third round. There's been a lot of talk of her potentially changing rackets in the off season from Wilson to Yonex, but she's going to play with the Wilson at the Australian Open. There's also been talk of changes to her forehand, so I just think Raducanu potentially isn't quite ready for the Australian Open yet. I think it's a pretty good first round for her. I mean, I've never heard of the player she's playing in the first round. I'm not going to even try and pronounce it. But if she, gets through that, it's probably a pretty good warm up. But then again, playing someone you've never even seen before could be difficult because you don't know their game at all. But I think if Raducanu goes out relatively early, it's not alarm bells. I don't think we should sound alarm bells because she has gone through a lot of changes over the off season. And I would say, for me, Mboko is the one that I'm penciling into that fourth round against Sabalenka. I think she's got a relatively nice draw. I think she'll beat Towson in the third round, and then the quarterfinals. I don't know who you've got Sabalenka to play, Carl, but I've gone for Marta Kostyuk. I think, and obviously Paolini is the highest seed in that little section, but I think she's got a remarkably tough draw. Has Jasmine Paolini? It's most likely either Jovic in the third round, who's a really exciting, talented youngster from America, who just made the final this week in, believe it was in Hobart, in obviously in Australia, and then it would most likely be Marta Kostyuk in the fourth round for Paolini. I think this is a nightmare draw for Jasmine Paolini, and I'm putting Marta Kostyuk to play Sabalenka instead of Jasmine Paolini. I don't think we've got enough form on the record for Paolini to really pencil her in there. But who have you gone for Sabalenka to play in that first quarterfinal, Carl?
I think I probably have gone for Jasmine Paolini. I think though she's got a tough draw, I know, and also we haven't seen much from her. It's not just because of the contrasting differences in opinions. You want to have a little bit of spicy calls and just different takes. But I think Jasmine Paolini has obviously firstly quite a good starting draw. She's got a qualify in the first round and maybe even and yeah, maybe in a quali in the third if Jovic does get there, doesn't get there. But yeah, that's going to be a tough one for her. I think if she pulls through that match, she'll have a very good fighting chance of getting through to that fourth round. So yeah, no, I would probably put her to get to play Sabalenka, because not just because she's the seventh seed. I don't think she has too much pressure on herself right now. So yeah, I think Paolini will probably get to the quarterfinals against Sabalenka. That's probably my take. As I said, good starting. If she does keep going forwards, it'll give her a lot of potential. She has a lot of potential to get through it. Also said she hasn't made too much of a impression on anyone throughout the time off and newly in the recent 2026. So I think she's got no pressure to do anything. She's going to come out strong. She's good on the hard, and I think she's going to be a good contender and hopefully go far in this tournament and have high hopes for Jasmine Paolini, Nick.
Yeah, good to have differing takes, something we don't always have on our prediction shows here on the Chip in Charge Tennis podcast. Carl, we probably should move on to that second quarter on the women's side of things, headlined by Coco Gauff, the third seed. You've got Andreeva there as the second highest seed, the eighth seed, along with Emma Navarro and Elina Svitolina. Carl, we should probably start with Coco Gauff and her draw. It's Kamila Rakimova in the first round, and then the second round I think is where everyone's looking at, with a potential clash with 45-year-old Venus Williams. Venus Williams has to beat Olga Danilovic for us to see that match, which I unfortunately think won't happen.
Highly doubt.
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to Danilovic or Rakimova, that's definitely the match everyone is looking for in this section of the draw, and in the whole kind of in the whole combination of both draws. That is the second match everyone wants, yes. I'm pretty sure, because 2019 Wimbledon, where we first saw Coco Gauff, she beat Venus Williams, and that would be a full circle moment, you feel. If we managed to get that again here in the Australian Open, like just a phenomenal match to see. And yeah, you'd put Gauff as the heavy favourite, but it would still just be a pretty unbelievable match if we were to get there. And then in terms of Gauff's draw overall, Carl, I think it's a pretty tough draw, but I think she's got players that on their day can beat pretty much anyone, but if they're not on their day, they can really go cold. And like, I'd put Vondrousova there. Her top level is Grand Slam winning level. Her lower level is pretty poor. So it kind of does depend on and Hayley Baptiste as well, along with Mukova would be the Navarro would be the scheduled fourth round opponent for Gauff. I've got Mukova getting there. But it's a pretty tough draw for Coco Gauff in the first few rounds, and I think she's gonna. I mean, she's been unpredictable getting to in the United Cup. She got bageled in one of her first matches. Then she beat Iga Swiatek. Like, we don't know really where Gauff is at right now, and I think the first few rounds will be extremely telling as to where she is. Carl.
Yeah, so I probably agree with you there. I think Coco Gauff will probably make it to the quarter stages, and I'm excited for that Venus Williams match if that were to happen. Hopefully it does. But yeah, I would probably say people like Vondrousova, Mukova, and Svitolina. No, I think Svitolina is probably very, very good. She's consistent. She might even be able to take on Andreeva, and that's probably what I might even go for. I'm gonna put Coco and maybe Svitolina up there to make it to the quarters and be in that group. So yeah, I'm actually gonna put Elina Svitolina to beat Mira Andreeva. Obviously, that's gonna come a little bit later in the fourth round, because I just have a feeling, I don't know if it's a gut feeling or something, that Svitolina is going to have a good, not just a good year. She always has very good years, but I think she's going to do something special. I think maybe this could be the tournament. I might be wrong, sorely wrong, and just look like a fool. But if it does happen, look at the scenes. I think Amira Andreeva is young. She's good on hard, yes, but I don't know. I think maybe there's something in there for Svitolina just because of how maybe, her Monfils is last year and everything, and just the fact that she's really going to want to just push everything into it. She's obviously also a lot older than a lot of these other girls, ladies on the tour. Miranjiva is very young, so I think it'll be great to see that more experienced player kind of take on the younger, fresh player and see. That's just going to be a great match, honestly. You've also got other very high quality contenders in there with Diana Schneider and Yastremska, very high quality players. But I also would say those two are sometimes on and off as well. So just like you said with Mukova and Vondrousova, they can be up, they can be down, and I just don't think right now for the Australian Open so early in the year they're going to be at their highest level after just having a break, just having some time off. They've only had 2 weeks or so to start playing competitively again, and I just think that those kind of players with experience like Svitolina, and yes, I'm going to say Miranjiva because she's been playing at the highest level and been winning the highest level tournaments, like obviously she won the 1,000 last year. So I would probably say she's got more experience of playing at those high levels earlier on, and yeah, but it all kind of matters on these early rounds as there's a lot of very good players, and however you play, it just comes down to just one win, and then you just keep going through the ranks. Once you get that win streak going, I think there's a lot of these players can easily make it through and probably beat Coco and Miranjiva. So it's very uncertain. It's a lot different compared to the Sabalenka quarter because I think she's got a comfortable draw. Maybe even like you said, the only tough or interesting match could be Paolini and I don't know, someone like Kostyuk or Jovic or something like that. But yeah, I'm definitely still going to put Coco to make it to the quarters, but I'm going to change it up and go for Svitolina to make it to that quarter final. What are your thoughts on this quarter, Nick? Let's see.
Yeah, I completely agree with Goff. I've got her beating Mukova in the fourth round, and then on that lower section, I completely agree with you. I think Svitolina's going to get there. I've actually not even got Andreeva to make the fourth round. I think she's going to lose to Yastremska in the third round. I know she's just won a title this week as Mira Andreeva, but I think she's going to be, she's got to come straight to Australia. She's going to be, I think, a pretty knackered. I just don't see her. She's not been in the best form of the latter stages of last year. And we haven't seen her, do too well in the latter stages, in the latter, Grand Slams at the US Open. So I've put Svitolina Yastremska in the fourth round for Svitolina to come through against Goff in the quarterfinals. We'll reveal who we think is going to win this quarterfinals at the end when we've gone through all of the quarters. But yeah, Andreeva for me also an extremely tough first round for her. Like Donna Vekic in the first round is a pretty nightmare draw. Just to run you through some of the best first round matches I think to watch out for on the first few days. I've got Sabalenka Rakitamanga in the first round, and Boko Emerson Jones should be a good one to watch. Two youngsters. Goff Rakimova should be good, as well as Danilovic Williams. Hailey Baptiste against Marketa Vondrousova. Karolina Mukova up against Jacqueline Christian. Magdalene Navarro. Svitolina against Buksha. Schneider Krejcikova. Yastremska against Ruse and obviously Andreeva Vekic. I think a lot of good first round matches on this first half of the draw, Carl. Should be a good first few days at the Australian Open. The third quarter of the Australian Open draw on the women's side of things is where you find 6th seed Jessica Pegula along with the 4th seed Amanda Anisimova, as well as Madison Keys, the defending champion, and Linda Noskova, the 13th seed. Carl, we probably should start with, I guess, the defending champion. Madison Keys, is considering she is the defending champion here at the Australian Open. She's got a tough draw, hasn't she? I mean, Pegula in the fourth round's really tough. She's got a first round against someone I've not come across before, a Ukrainian in the first round. I think she's probably going to be the favourite to come through that one. She should probably come through her second round match, and then it's Fernandez in the third one, which is tough. Pegula in the fourth round's incredibly tough, and then potentially Anisimova in the quarters. Like, this is not the draw Madison Keys wanted as a defending champion, and I think she could be taking a pretty big ranking hit after this Australian Open Cup.
I definitely do agree with your take on that Keys has a very difficult draw. I would probably say the big difference from last year when she won the tournament and now is that she did play very good players, but that was towards the latter stages of the draw. I'm definitely going to put now that she's playing extremely tough players very, very earlier on. Leila Fernandez, she's gone to the final of a slam. Palabadosa, she's obviously driving and grilling, just what we saw in the documentary on Breakpoint, and we've seen over and over again how much she wants this. She's going to be trying to obviously do as best as she can, even if it's to beat Jessica Pegula. Might happen, might not, but you never know who she's going to play. I think she's going to have a lot of tough matches to obviously get through, and yeah, I would definitely say that Pegula is going to be her toughest battle if Pegula gets through Badosa, which I think she will. And then obviously you got Madison Keys to play there, and if she does carry on winning, she's also gonna have to go through either Amanda Anisimova, which I think she will go through, because I just don't see Linda Noskova, the 13th seed, Ostapenko, 24th seed, or Sophia Kenin, or anyone else who's not seeded, kind of get through Anisimova. She's been playing very high level tennis towards the later stage of last year, and now I just think she's ready to hopefully do her best and just play as best tennis as she can to try and win, and get as far as possible. So I think my call is definitely going to be Pegula and Amanda Anisimova. I think they've definitely got the biggest chance of getting through to the quarters and playing against each other. Don't know who's going to come out on top. I might have to go for Anisimova on that one, just because I think Pegula's consistent, yes, but Anisimova's got the game. She plays very close to what Sabalenka can play like, and I think she's got the level, she's got the mindset, she's there now, and I think this year's her time to do it. So yeah, I'm calling for Anisimova to win and get through to the to the semis, and yeah, I think it's gonna be Pegula and Anisimova in the quarters. Nick, what's your call on this quarter?
Yeah, I agree. I think Pagula definitely into the quarters. I think it's a shame Keys isn't going to be there, in my predictions. But I think if she does, she's going to have to play some pretty good tennis, and something we haven't seen since this time last year at the Australian Open, which obviously we know she can do. If she brings out that level, she's beating absolutely everyone in this draw. But we haven't seen I haven't seen it since, really, that level. So I'm definitely putting Pegula in there, someone who's really solid, reliably gets to quarterfinals at slams. And I agree, I completely agree with Anisimova. I think she's gonna, cruise into the quarterfinals. She's got Simona Waltert in the first round, and then it would probably be Sophia Kenin in the third round, and then based off rankings it would be Linda Noskova in the fourth round, and I think she cruises through all of those matches. So I've definitely got Pegula and Anisimova in the quarters. Some good first round matches to look out for in that quarter would be Fernandez against Janice Chen. I think she's a really good, exciting youngster coming through a real breakout last year. And then obviously Ostapenko against Rebecca Shramkova. That should be a great match. And yeah, the final quarter, Carl, on the women's side of things is where you find the second seed Iga Swiatek, as well as Elena Rybakina, the fifth seed, on top of Belinda Bencic and Naomi Osaka. A really fun, exciting part of the section of the draw here. The last quarter on the women's side. But we should probably start with Iga Swiatek. I think a relatively tough draw for her. I mean, the first one, obviously a qualifier, she should come through that. The second one, I think she should come through relatively unscathed. It's Anna Kalinskaya in the third one, which I think's relatively tough. It's not the toughest, but it's quite tough for a seeded player. And then if we get it, Carl, the tantalising prospect of a rematch of that, just the most remarkable French Open match that we got a few years ago. Swiatek, Osaka, I'm definitely praying that we manage to get that match, because that should be good. I'm definitely predicting Swiatek to win it and get into the quarters.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it's a relatively tough draw for Iga Swiatek. I think she will come through it relatively easily. but she's going to be tested to get through to the quarters, Carl.
100%. Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm probably gonna have to put Iga Swiatek to play Rybakina, and though Rybakina can be inconsistent, I would have to say she's got the best chance of beating players like my joint Elise Mertens and probably Belinda Bencic as well. And so yeah, I'm gonna have to put Swiatek versus Rybakina up in that side of the draw. I agree with you there. Swiatek's got a difficult one, but Kalinskaya, I think she's gonna get through that. Just wanted to mention that. Maybe you can say it at the end as well. But another interesting first round match would be Kalinskaya versus Sonny Cartel, because I think that one could be very close. And maybe back in the Brits, just all write it down in the comments of wherever you see this. Back the Brits. Let's hope that Sonny Cartel, our Brit, and obviously Raducanu can do as best as possible in this tournament, because we need our hopes direly after Jack Draper isn't here, don't we, Nick? We need someone to pick up the Brits on their back. So we'll see who it is in the Australian Open. I'm hoping it's going to be one of the ladies this time, because we've had Jack Draper do a lot of the pulling. So let's see if one of the women can really have a good draw and have a good run. But yeah, overall it's going to be a good bottom half. I would say Swiatek to get to that quarterfinal stage. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. Probably more so on Rybakina's half for me. Maybe she's got Kaya Juvan. I don't know if I pronounced that right.
Yeah, Kaya
in the
Juvan.
first round, Kaya Juvan. Yeah, and then two other players who not very highly seeded, but then maybe my joint. I think that one's going to be a difficult one, maybe for her, because my joint can be quite consistent, good player, high level, and just like we mentioned with Anna Kalinskaya and Swiatek, it's just a tough match. Just you don't want to be playing those type of matches too early in the tournament, because you can get knocked out. But it is what it is. I think both of them have been on the tour long enough to understand and deal with the pressure of playing against a huge underdog and that kind of situation. Hopefully they can bring out their highest level in their best game, so the underdogs don't blow them out of the water. We've seen that happen many times before at slams in early rounds, and I don't want to say that I want them to lose, but I'm not going to say it wouldn't be interesting if we had another repetition of Wimbledon, where so many players and so many seeds went out in the first round. We'd be just giving you podcasts like boom bam and you'd love it. So I think I'm probably going to hope that we do have some upsets. We are sometimes, I hope we're wrong, so we can get more entertainment out for you guys. But yeah, I definitely would put Swiatek and Rybakina to get to that quarterfinal stage.
Yeah, I agree with Swiatek. I don't agree with Rybakina though. I'm putting Belinda
Okay.
Bencic into that quarter. She's got Katie Bolter in the first round, who's been, her form has just plummeted since a few years ago, Bolter. It'll be Kazatkina in the second one, which is a tough draw. But I think she'll get through it. I think she's got a lot of confidence. She won every single one of her matches in the United Cup, playing some pretty remarkable tennis. Like, that was top 5 level tennis. And yeah, Elise Mertens will be in the third round. Again, relatively tough, but I think it's ones that she's got the edge over all of these opponents, and I think it will just build her confidence. And then to get to Elena Rybakina. Look, it's probably a bit of a bold prediction, because Rybakina is definitely the favourite on paper to beat Bencic. I just think the level Bencic played at the United Cup, I think she's going to transfer it into the Australian Open, and I think we're going to see a Bencic Swiatek quarter-final. Like you said, Carl, some first round matches. Yeah, so some first round matches to look forward to and to look for in the first few rounds would definitely be, like you said, Cartel Kalinskaya, Schiegmund against Samsonova will be a good match, and Bolter Bencic, as well as Rybakina Juvan. I think all good matches to look out for. Before we move on from the women's side of things, Carl, we should go through our predictions from quarterfinal stages onwards. The first quarter, I've got Sabalenka against Kostyuk. You've got Sabalenka against Paolini. Who's coming through that one, Carl?
I have got Sabalenka to rightfully come through that one. Nick, how about you? What have you got to get through?
I agree. Yeah, Sabalenka. And then she's
Nice.
gonna play
Yep.
the winner. We've both got Goff and Svitolina. Go, who've
Mhm.
you got coming through that quarter?
I have got. Should I go big or go home? I'm gonna go. I think this might be where Svitolina's draw will end. I don't know. I just have a feeling that Coco Gauff is just gonna grind it out. Play that dirty tennis
Yeah.
that she's very good at, and respectfully is insane to play. And she's gonna play nasty. She's gonna play fiery. She's gonna do it all, and just like how she won her title with so many double faults and so many unforced errors this year, I think she's gonna do the same, and I think she's gonna win that match, Nick. I'm gonna put Coco Gauff to
I,
get to
I,
the
I,
semis.
I disagree. I've gone for Elina Svitolina. Look, I mean, what you say is completely true. Like, she is the master of winning ugly. When her game deserts her, she finds a way to somehow mentally come through. And like, I think
Mm.
she's. I mean, the form in the United Cup was like that. Like, it was a lot of double faults in a lot of her matches. The forehand was going, it was pretty shaky in a lot of those matches. And I think we're going to see that here at the Australian Open. And I don't see her winning this match against Svitolina. I think Svitolina will play well, and it might just be a little bit too much for Goff. And look, like saying that, I mean, I would not be surprised at all if Goff makes the semis, but I'm gonna go big. I'm gonna make some big predictions. I'm just gonna go for Svitolina into the semis. So Carl, you've got
All right.
Sabalenka against Goff. I've got Sabalenka, Svitolina. Carl, who's making that final on the top half of the draw?
I think Sabalenka's got to make it. I said at the beginning, if you watched our last pod, I said that Sabalenka was kind of had to prove herself just because of everything that happened with the battle of the sexes. I think she needs to do something to prove to everyone that she's still the greatest of the women's game right now, and I think this is her way to do it. So if she does make it through to the to
Yeah.
the to the semis, I think she's going to make it through to the finals, Nick. I think she's going to get there. So I'm going to put Sabalenka to make the final of the Australian
Yeah,
Open. How about you?
I completely agree. Yeah, I think Sabalenka's definitely in the final for me. I think she's the easily the favourite for this section of the draw. I think it's a pretty nice draw overall for Arina Sabalenka, and I think we're going to get him in the final. On the third quarter, Carl, we've both got Jessica Pegula against Amanda Anisimova in that quarter, Carl. Who have you got winning it?
I have I've got Anisimova to win the quarter final of that bottom half of the draw. I think Anisimova beats her on power. I think she beats her on consistency right now. I think the mentality's there from Anisimova, and I just think that she's gonna take the win on this one, Nick. I think she's going to make the semis. But yeah, what's your call?
Yeah, I've definitely got Anisimova. I think the level that she's been playing obviously last year, making two Grand Slam finals. I think she's going to make the semis, and to be honest, I think she's going to make the final again. I think look, Pegula's going to be really tough. She's a solid player. She brings a lot every single match. She's gonna be there. She's gonna be reliable if she makes the quarterfinals. But that quarterfinals has traditionally been a block for Jessica Pegula. That she's only come through once, I believe, at the U.S. Open. And I think Anisimova is playing really good tennis at the moment, and I think she's gonna get through. Carl, we've both got Anisimova into the semis. Who's she gonna play? You've got Rybakina against Swiatek. I've got Bencic against Iga Swiatek. I've got Swiatek coming through the semis to play Anisimova, coming through the quarters to play Anisimova in the semis. Carl, who have you got to play Amanda Anisimova?
I've also got Swiatek to beat Rybakina and play Anisimova in the semi-finals. I think this is probably her best chance to just refire her light and just get back onto the big stages and make that semi-finals. It'd be a great way to start the year off with the slam, and I think this is the right time for Swiatek to put herself back in the spotlight. And yeah, it's been a lot of Sabalenka and Anisimova kind of spotlight. I think Swiatek for the Australian Open, I think she'll want to definitely make the semi-finals here and probably maybe beat Anisimova.
Yeah, I mean, another really good storyline is Swiatek's going for the career slam. She's going for she's. I mean, this is the only one that's eluding her is the Australian Open. She's not done the best. It's easily been her worst slam by a long way as the Australian Open. So this is going to be really big for Iga Swiatek. Like if she does this, she completes all 4 Grand Slams. That's a huge feat if she manages to do it. But Kyle, I think she comes unstuck against Anisimova. I think Anisimova beats her once again in the semi-finals of the Australian Open, like she did in the quarters of the US Open last year. I've got Anisimova into her 3rd consecutive Grand Slam final, where she'll play Aryna Sabalenka. What about you, Carl? Who have you got coming through that semi?
I want to say Swiatek. I do want to say her, and you know what? Just for the fun of it, I'm gonna say Swiatek. Let's keep it different. Let's mix it up. I think Swiatek is gonna beat Anisimova, and play Sabalenka. I want a 1-2. I want a 1-2 in the final. Seed 1, seed 2. I know it's generic, but it's gonna be definite. It's definitely gonna be good. And yeah, I just think maybe the mentality side of things, Anisimova could get tight. She could get a little bit wavery. We don't know. I think she's obviously still hasn't won a slam in her adult career, women's career. She obviously won this tournament actually when she was a junior against Coco. But no, I definitely would say Swiatek has a slight better chance just off of margins right now. Maybe Anisimova's got the power, but I also think Swiatek does. She's probably, I'd say, more one of the underrated top women right now, above Sabalenka and Anisimova, and maybe even Coco Gauff right now. So I think just because she hasn't done it doesn't mean she can't. She's destroyed Anisimova on the highest level of the Slams tour before. And I think maybe if she gets that mentality back, she gets that level back. And to be all honest, it wasn't much of Swiatek's doing that Anisimova lost that match, love and love, in the Wimbledon final. But at the same time, Swiatek could have dipped her level and let Anisimova back through the door, but she didn't. She just stayed so mentally strong, and I think that's one of her best attributes, her biggest strengths, that mentality. Once she's in there, she fights like a lion and she never gives up, and that's exactly what you need to win this tournament. And so I think it's going to be Sabalenka Swiatek in the final.
So the big final, Carl, our big prediction for the Australian Open, the first slam of the season on the women's side of things. You've got Sabalenka Swiatek, I've got Sabalenka Amanda Anisimova, and I'm going to make a really big prediction, a really bold prediction. I've got Anisimova winning this title. I think she is someone who's got the most resilience out of any player in this draw, out of any player playing tennis currently. I think, the things she's gone through off court, losing her father when she was just a teenager, I think she's translated them so well, and the things she's learned on court. Like we saw it when she lost the Wimbledon final, 6-love. The very next slam, she beat the same player in the quarterfinals. Just a remarkable turnaround, and I think she'll learn a lot from losing that Wimbledon final. I think she'll learn a lot from using that US Open final to Aryna Sabalenka, and I think if she gets there again, she will analyse that match to death, and I think she'll find a way. She'll use her resilience to find a way to beat Sabalenka. And I do not see Anisimova, if she gets this final, I do not see her losing 3 finals consecutively. I think she's such a high-level tennis player, and I think if she plays her best level, she can take this to Aryna Sabalenka, on top of the fact that she's got a positive head-to-head record against Aryna Sabalenka. Like, I think she enjoys that matchup. It hasn't been too great in recent years, but I think she knows how to beat Aryna Sabalenka, and I think she'll learn so much from losing to her at the US Open final. I think she'll use that in her favour, and I think she's going to win the Australian Open. I said it a few weeks ago, I'm going to stick with it. I think we need some big predictions, and Amanda Anisimova winning the Australian Open would be something truly unbelievable, and I think we all want to see it. Who have you got winning there, Carl?
Nick, I know you went bold, I know you went big, but I'm gonna go with what the people want, and I think they want to see Sabalenka prove everyone wrong. I think they need the fact that Sabalenka is the greatest woman to do it right now, and being number one, I think she deserves to get the win here. She's done everything that she possibly could. Um, if she gets through this early draw, she's gonna have a tough one to have to obviously get through Coco Gauff, and then if she does beat Swiatek, in my opinion, if she does beat Anisimova, so in your opinion, I think there definitely could be something to that, and a reason why she's world number one, and a reason why she's the best woman right now. So I'm definitely going to have to put Sabalenka to win the Australian Open. That's my call.
Going for the top seed. Bold predictions.
Yo, what's that about? Going for the top seed? Yeah,
No.
I'm going for the top seed.
Yeah, it should be very interesting though. I think the women's side of things where most of the intrigue is, like the men's side of things. We've got Alcaraz, Sinner. I think that they're the two main contenders. I don't think anyone's
Not really much to talk about that.
really predicting anyone else. But on the women's side of things, you could see Anisimova winning, you could see Swiatek winning, you could see Sabalenka, Goff, Rybakina. All of those players you could easily see winning this title. Even Keys you'd put in there.
Keys again.
Defending champion. Yeah, potentially the defending champion. So yeah, that should be a lot of intrigue on the women's side of things. The men's side of things, Carl, we should start with the first quarter, where you find the first seed Carlos Alcaraz, as well as Flavio Cobolli, Corentin Moutet, Tommy Poole, Fokina and Bublik. Carl Alcaraz, a relatively good draw to start things off. He would have Adam Walton in the first round, Hanfman potentially in the second round, and then it would be scheduled Mute in the third round. I think no real issues for Alcaraz to start things off. And then it'll be Fokina or Poole in the fourth round. Again, I don't think anyone there really going to trouble him too much. That second section on this top quarter, though, Carl, is a really stacked, crowded section. You've got Bublik, Brooksby, Cobolli, Tiafoe, Berrettini, Demino. Like, that is a really stacked section of the draw, and I think whoever comes through that is going to be firing, and I think that's going to be a tough draw for Alcaraz potentially in the quarterfinals, because they are going to be absolutely ready. Beating that many high level players is going to be be a tough ask, and I think whoever does it is going to be in piping hot form. And I think we'll get Alcaraz into the quarters. I think that's no bold prediction. He's got a pretty good draw, and I think he'll just about play Alex de Minaur in that quarterfinal. I've got him to beat Cobolli in the fourth round, but even that first one against Matteo Berrettini, Carl. I mean, you're obviously our Matteo Berrettini correspondent here on the Chip and Charge Tennis podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think even that could be a major challenge for de Minaur. Look, Berrettini's not what he was, but I think that could easily go 4 or 5 sets. But I've got de Minaur coming through that fourth round and then to quarters against Alcaraz. Who have you got, Carl?
So yeah, I'm going to say Alcaraz to get to the quarters, 100%, no doubt about it. I think we can all agree there. He might have a tough one against Mute, maybe a few games. I don't think he's going to drop even a set, realistically, with the draw that he's got. But on that bottom half, I'm actually going to... This is a tough one. I think, I'm going to put Bublik. I'm going to put Bublik to win. He just won a title. I think Bublik is going to beat de Minaur in the fourth round and make it to the quarters against Alcaraz. Yeah. I'm just thinking about it in my head, to make sure that sounds right. yeah, it does. It sounds okay.
Bublik to beat Alcaraz?
No. De Minaur.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Well, calm down. I think we're pushing it too far now.
Yeah, I was you're taking my criticism of you not making bold predictions a bit too on face value there. But no, I could see Bublik coming through. Look, it's a tough draw against Brooksby. I think some good first round matches to look out for: Paul Kovacevic,
100%. Bublik,
Brooksby, and then obviously the real blockbuster of de Minaur Berrettini. Probably the best first round match on the men's side of things.
Let's go, Berrettini.
So, Carl, the second quarter on the men's side of things is where you find third seed Alexander Zverev, as well as the seventh seed Felix Auger-Aliassime. You've got Medvedev in there, as well as Andrei Rublev. Carl, I don't know who to talk about here. do we talk about Zverev? Do we talk about Medvedev? Do we talk about Aliassime? Like, there's a lot of players that are kind of
Start
at
with
similar
Zverev.
levels here, really. Yeah. I mean, I think I haven't even got Zverev making the quarters. You know, I think he's going to lose to
Same.
Francisco Cerundolo in the fourth round. Cerundolo's a real kryptonite for Alexander Zverev. He's lost him twice on clay courts, has to be said, but I still think that's a nightmare matchup for Zverev. And I've got Cerundolo in that quarter to play Daniil Medvedev. The schedule's obviously Aliassime, but I think Medvedev's in such good form in Brisbane. He won another title there. I think he's, last year he only won, what was it, two or even, I think it was only one match in all four Grand Slams. I think he's turning a new leaf in 2026, and I'm going to back him. He's, long-time listeners of the podcast will know Medvedev's one of my favourite players, if not my favourite player, and I think I've got to back him to make the quarters against Cerundolo and even get to the semis as well. Cole, who have you got coming through those? I got a draw which is really tough to predict because Rublev
It's
could
stacked,
get there,
100%.
Medvedev could get there. It is, and who have you gone for?
It's a very difficult one because unlike even the first one with Alcaraz and either, like you said, Dimignon, or I've obviously put Bublik up there. I'm gonna agree with you with Cerundolo because I think Cerundolo is probably the toughest opponent for Zverev, and if he does get through that, that's going to give him a huge amount of confidence to win his next match. But I'm not going to go with Medvedev. I'll leave that one to you. You stick with your man. There you go, mate. Enjoy that. I'm gonna go. It's a tough one between. I just don't know, between like Aliassime. I think maybe I might go Aliassime just because of what he did last year. Late last year, he was playing some incredible tennis. He was doing really well to get as many wins as he did throughout the end of the year to get into the to get into the ATP finals. And yeah, I think he is 100% the highest level player right now in this probably entire side of that quarter. I think with it, his highest level is definitely a good contender to even players like Sinner and Alcaraz. He's given them a good run for their money before. He's taken
His highest level
sets.
is not higher than Medvedev's highest level. I'm not gonna
I
have
might
that.
have to agree with you there, mate. It might be. It might be.
Do you think Aliassime's highest level is better than Daniil Medvedev's US Open winning highest level?
I mean, more recently.
Okay, more
Aliassime's
recently, yeah.
Younger,
Highest level now.
less experienced. Okay, what Medvedev did in that run was great. Yeah, it was insane.
It wasn't just
gonna
one
admit
run.
that.
It was 4 years of just really high level tennis, and he probably should have got more than a slam, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess. But that back then there was still like there was still high, very good players, like
Nadal,
obviously Djokovic was at the top of his game. Nadal was still in there, so you can understand Medvedev not winning more than one slam. But I just think Medvedev is just not really my type of player. Like he's just I definitely like him. I just don't think. I don't know. No, to be fair, he's good on hard as well, isn't he? So he's definitely got a great chance to obviously get to the quarters. And I'm not gonna disagree horrendously with your call. I think it can 100% happen. But I think right now, Aliassime, his level over the past few months has been higher than Medvedev, and I think everyone probably would agree. And obviously, maybe in the past couple of weeks, Medvedev's been doing more, but maybe Aliassime just hasn't proved himself. He's waiting for that right time. Let's just say that. I'm going to say that. And yeah, I think he's got a tough one. Maybe in Nino Borges, that's going to be a good first round. If he wins that one, I think that's going to be a good confidence booster. And yeah, even Lerner Tian, I think Tian's a very, very good player.
Yeah. Some good first round matches, I think, to look forward to in the first round, in the first few. Yeah, some good first round matches, I think, to look forward to in the first few days. Cam Norrie against Benjamin Bonzi, good Brit watch there. Rublev or Nardi again should be a fantastic watch, as well as Thompson, Cerundolo, Zverev, Diallo should be good, as well as, like I said, Borges against Felix Auger-Aliassime, all good ones to watch out for. Carl, that third quarter is where we find fifth seed Lorenzo Musetti, along with Novak Djokovic, the fourth seed, of course. You got Jakub Menšik there, as well as Taylor Fritz, Lehechka, Tsitsipas, Greek Sport Nakashima. Again, a pretty stacked section of the draw. Carl, we should probably talk about Djokovic first, I guess. It's a relatively comfortable first couple of rounds for Djokovic. He's got Martinez in the first round, then it'd be likely Terence Atman, and then Nakashima if it went off seedings, which I think Djokovic is probably the favourite to get through all of those. And then it'll be Menšik in the fourth round, which is someone who beat him in the Miami final last year, which is a tough draw for Djokovic. But I think we see Djokovic in the quarters against Taylor Fritz. The seeded would be against Lorenzo Musetti, but I think Fritz on hard, for me, is just above Lorenzo Musetti at the moment. But I could see Musetti getting there easily. Again, Fritz is struggling a lot with a knee injury, I believe. So perhaps I should be putting Musetti in there, but I'm just going to put Fritz in there. I think he's got a good run in him here at the Australian Open. I'm going to say we see a Fritz Djokovic quarter. Who have you gone for, Carl?
Yeah, I've gone with your opposing idea. I had down originally Musetti and Djokovic there, just because I obviously read into everything that Taylor Fritz has been dealing with. He hasn't been playing great lately. His injury's been really not been putting a good helping him at all. And I think these past few weeks have just been really tough for him to get back into it. He hasn't been doing much on the tour, just probably training and recovering. I don't know if he's going to have the greatest run here in Australia. You'd hope that he can do as best as he can, obviously. But I think when it comes to someone like Musetti, who's been absolutely grinding day in, day out, as many times as he can, he's come second, again in this New Year title. And, he's just destined to do something more. I think whenever that time is, it might not be this tournament exactly, because he's got Djokovic. I don't know if he can beat Djokovic. Obviously, he lost to Djokovic very recently, just before the ATP finals, literally like 2 days before the ATP finals, when Djokovic won his 101 Dalmatian title, that big number. And obviously Musetti couldn't get the win there, and then had to still somehow got into the ATP finals and travelled and did this and did that, and now he's come second again in a title early this year. So I just think he's so fired up, he's so pumped to be able to play in this tournament, and I think play and do as best as he can. And I'm even thinking of putting Musetti to beat Djokovic, but I just don't know. It was very close last time they played, and I need to check the head-to-head, but I still think that Musetti can beat players like Tsitsipas, can beat players like Fritz, so I'm probably gonna have to, just about put Musetti to get to that quarterfinal stage. And I think Djokovic has got an okay draw. I'm seeing him doing well against Nakashima. I think he can beat him. I think Menšik will probably be his toughest match, Nick, because obviously not just because of the seeds. I know how good Menšik can play. He's got Krena in the first round, but yeah, I think it's gonna be an interesting one with Musetti Djokovic. I think when that comes around, when we talk about it, I think that's gonna give me a lot to think about, as obviously they played before, but I just don't know. Musetti is very good on hard as well, but obviously Djokovic is Djokovic. So yeah, my calls are Novak Djokovic and Lorenzo Musetti to get to the quarterfinals, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing with Musetti I'd say is he's got a tough draw. Like Dimitrov on Mahatch or Tsitsipas in the third round's tough, but I think if he gets through that, he's going to be a lot of confidence. Fritz Musetti in the fourth round would be a remarkable watch. Some good first round matches from that section. Dimitrov Mahatch, obviously. Menšik against Karina Buster, Hurkacz Bergs, Nakashima against Van der Zandschulp. A good quarter, I think, there. The final quarter of the draw card is where you find the second seed and defending champion, Yannick Sinner, along with Ben Shelton, who's the 8th seed. You've also got Khachanov and Kasper Ruud there. Again, a fun quarter of the draw. Sinner's got Gaston in the first round. I think look at a relatively tricky first round opponent, but I think he's going to wipe the floor against Gaston. Just a tough first round. I mean, not a tough first round, but a tricky first round for Sinner. And then I think he's got a relatively nice draw. Then with Duckworth would be in the second round. Joao Fonseca, he's been injured, so potentially not the force that he could be, but that could be a tantalising third round match if Fonseca's in full fitness, and then it'd be Khachanov in the fourth round. Look, I think a relatively plain sailing draw for Sinner. I think he'll get through pretty comfortably into that quarterfinal, and then the scheduled quarterfinal opponent would be Ben Shelton, which would again be a fun match, but again I think Sinner's coming through relatively comfortably. I'm going to get into the semi-finals. Shelton Umber's a really fun first round. Vachero's there as well. We haven't seen him. We haven't seen him in a slam yet, which should be interesting. Ruud's there as well. I don't think Ruud's is a contender for this title, to be honest. Carl, who do you think is making that quarter final on the bottom half of the draw?
I'm going to say Yannick Sinner, obviously at the top, for the bottom half of the entire draw, and I think he's going to end up playing, I don't know, Ben Shelton, I think. He's very hard. Is that what you said? Or
Yeah, I'm for Shelton.
I thought you were going to say Manarino, because Manarino's there.
Well, Manarino-Shelton is a really fun matchup. Like, we've seen that a lot, and Manarino's got the better of him on 2 occasions at slams, so I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if he does beat him again. Vachero's there as well. I mean, it is a fun section of the draw, I think. But yeah, I've gone for Shelton as well. I like as much as I want Manarino.
Exactly. There you go. Well, I had to compromise. Berrettini or Dimignon. Oh, that's a tough one. So
you've gone for Shelton Sinner on that
yeah.
final. Okay. Let's go for our quarterfinal on. Cole, the first quarterfinal, I went for Alcaraz against De Minaur. You went for Alcaraz against Alexander Bublik. Cole, who have you got going through into the semis?
I think that one's a little bit more obvious. I'm definitely going to go for Alcaraz over Bublik in that round. It's going to be a difficult one for Bublik to win. I think he would have done an incredible job to get just to the quarterfinal stage, but I think his run will end with Alcaraz, as he's a number one, and I think he's going to have a lot riding on this just tournament in general, because obviously he had to separate with his coach, and now he's just going with his assistant, just going through, seeing what happens. And I think he's going to need a lot of kind of courage and strength to be able to push through all the people who don't really know what's going on, and prove to them that he's still number one, and he can still win slams and do his best as he can, even with the new recent change in his coaching team. So yeah, I'm going to go Alcaraz for that one, Nick. Who have you got between, obviously, Alcaraz and Dimignon?
Yeah, I've got Alcaraz definitely coming through. Big shock for everyone. Top seed coming through. And I've got him to play. So for me, it's the winner of Cerundolo Medvedev. For you, it's the winner of Cerundolo Aliassime. I've gone for Medvedev. I'm going to stick with my Medvedev big predictions, and I'm going to say he's going to get to the semis. He's going to bring back some of his unbelievable tennis that we know he can produce. And I think we're going to get a Alcaraz Medvedev semi-final. What about you, Carl?
I think I'm going to say Aliassime to keep going, keep the run going, try and make semis against Alcaraz. That's going to be an incredible match to watch. I would love to see Aliassime and Alcaraz. That would be an insane one, and I think Aliassime would put out his best performance against Alcaraz. So yeah, he's had a lot of heartbreaks. Obviously, been playing the number 1 and 2 guys so much in these past few months. I'm definitely going to say Aliassime to make the semis. So I'm going to put Alcaraz and Aliassime for that top half semi-finals.
Third quarter, Carl, you've gone for Lorenzo Musetti against Novak Djokovic. I've gone for Taylor Fritz against Novak Djokovic. Carl, who do you think is going to make the semis in that third quarter?
No, I told you when I said in this third quarter it's going to be a tough one. I'm gonna need to think about this because Musetti Djokovic. I checked the head-to-head. It's 9-1 in Djokovic's favor.
Well,
The caveat to that is that the last time they played, it did go to 3 sets and it ended in a 7-5.
Athens final.
Sorry?
Athens final, I think.
Yes, the Athens
Yeah.
final won that 101 title. But it's getting close, and I think with Djokovic's increasingly age and increasing his performance difficulty and the strength and pressure on his body and bones and muscles and everything, it's coming to that time. And I think he knows he won't probably play another one of these again. And I think it's so hard for me to call. Musetti's probably going to be in very peak condition, but Djokovic is going to really want to win these titles. He said before he doesn't even care as much as the other tournaments or playing for his country as much. He wants the big titles and he wants those names, and he wants to still be up there to prove that he can be the best even at his ripe age of pushing 40. So I'm gonna say Djokovic. He falls short again, Musetti. I don't want to do it, but I think Djokovic is going to win. I want Djokovic to win. He's one of my idols. He's a lot of people's idols, and I think if he was to go out this year with his last Australian or something like that, I want him to make the semis. So Nick, I'm going to say Novak Djokovic to beat Musetti, maybe in 4. We haven't really talked about how the sets are going to go, what we think the score is going to go. We'll probably come to that when the matches have arose. But I think it's going to be a very close one, and I think it might go to the distance, Nick. But what's your call?
Yeah, I obviously Fritz Djokovic. Both of those head-to-heads actually, Fritz, whether it be Fritz or Musetti, are really stacked in Djokovic's favour. Fritz, for Fritz, Djokovic is just the most nightmarish matchup. Like, it's 11-0 to Novak Djokovic. He hates that matchup. I think even when Djokovic is on his deathbed, he'll still lose to Novak Djokovic. So, I've gone for Djokovic getting through. I think regardless of whether it's Fritz or Musetti, I'm going to pencil Djokovic into that semi-final. And then we've both gone for Shelton Sinner. We haven't actually predicted the same much really, which is good, I think. But we've both gone for Shelton Sinner. Carl, who do you think is coming through that one? What should be a very fun quarterfinal, a rematch of last year's semi.
Yeah, 100%. I just think though Sinner's level is so high consistently. Shelton's got to be playing 11 out of 10, even 12, just to get to Sinner's 9 or 10 here, because Sinner plays mostly the same. He only raises it against one person, and usually that's Alcaraz when he forces him to. So it's tough. I'm gonna probably have to put Sinner. I obviously love Ben Shelton as well. He obviously contributes to the pod where he talks at the beginning, and he's a huge inspiration for us as well. And obviously we're gonna back him 100%. But we're thinking statistically. We're trying to analyze every single part of this draw, and we wouldn't be true podcasters if we weren't giving you what we actually think and not we want. So it's a difference. So I'm gonna have to say Sinner to get through and beat Ben Shelton and become victorious over that match. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think Sinner's going to get through the second seed, and I think we're going to get, Sinner Djokovic semi-final, and I think, big shock for everyone, I think we're going to get a rematch of Sinner Alcaraz in the final for the 4th consecutive Grand Slam. Carl, who do you think is coming through, Djokovic, Sinner? Are you going to go bold, or are you going to go for the more obvious one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go in again with the facts and with what I think is gonna happen, and I think we all know what this is gonna be for both sides. Alcaraz or Aliassime for me. Obviously, you're saying Alcaraz and Medvedev. I'm gonna go with an Alcaraz in the final. I'm not gonna hide it or sugarcoat what's gonna happen. The number 1 and 2 seed is gonna get to the finals of this tournament. If something were to happen, that would just blow my mind, because if obviously other than injury or something like that, if some player were to beat them right now, that would blow our minds, because both of us probably have no reason to think these guys are gonna lose a match. So yeah, I'm gonna go
go Sinner to take out Djokovic, and just thinking ahead, Alcaraz to be Anisimova.
Yeah, I mean, before we get into kind of our final predictions, Sinner, Alcaraz, who we think is going to win. I mean, I've got a bit of I guess a rant to make. I think we've seen so much in pretty much every tennis media, in pretty much all of the questions, both of them are getting asked. They're in the lens of this Sinner-as duo, of this Sinner-as bromance that is kind of being talked about so much. You know, they shared a private jet to Australia. They played in an exhibition together in South Korea. Their whole narrative, this whole season, this whole last season, pretty much has been about them both together, about them having such a great friendship, about them being such brilliant, friends off the court, big rivals, better friends. Like that is what the ATP have done consistently, putting out videos of them, shaking hands, all of those sorts of things, like taking private jets together. And I kind of feel like, yeah, okay, it's nice, they're good friends. We can see that. But do we not want a bit of spice? Like, if this is going to be the biggest match we've got for the next 10, 15 years, if this is going to be the rivalry, the narrative that dominates tennis media, do we not want that to have an edge to it when they play each other? Do we not want them to have not be great friends and actually have a bit of a bit of spice to each other, like we see with Serena and Sharapova, for example, which just brought so much fun. Everyone loved it, and it was such a dramatic matchup, even though Serena dominated it. Like, if we had that, and they were both, switching between the two, and they had a bit of edge to each other, they genuinely wanted to get, in each other's head, for example, which they do not want to do because they're these great friends, which everyone's been pushing the narrative of. And I even saw, like, in an interview that Sinner had, like, the player was the interview was like, I mean, how is it not beating with Alcaraz? And Sinner was like, well, it's quite good. And I think it's like, why are you asking this player about someone else? I just feel like you've got to build different players up, because otherwise you've got a sport which is so reliant on these two that we're just not focusing on, like, the brilliance we have in this draw. Like, we've just gone through it, like, so many fun players, so many fun matchups that we've got, and just, like, the only oxygen the only oxygen the tennis media is giving is Alcaraz Sinner.
Yeah, but don't you also feel
being these brilliant friends and mates? I mean, no.
Yeah, but you've got to also feel that it's not probably their intention. They're not intentionally going, yo, my guy, Alcaraz, like, yo, Alcaraz, let's go, have fun, Carlos, come on.
No, it's not their fault completely. I think it's a lot of it is the tennis media for inflating it.
It's money for them. It's 100% money. They get everything given to them. They're going out expeditions. They're doing all this financial stuff. They need the tennis world to know that it's Sinner, Alcaraz, and then everyone else.
Yeah, but we don't need videos every 5 seconds saying how brilliant mates they are. Like, let's have a bit of edge.
But we're gonna keep getting it because there's not been like this. Even with the Rafa, Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer, they were friends, yes, but they weren't as, like, forced.
There were big tensions. I think there were big tensions in the big four.
Oh,
like, okay, probably the best friends are probably Nadal, Federer, but I think there were tensions between Djokovic and Murray. I think there were tensions between Federer and Djokovic a lot of the time, and I think that added. I really do think that added. And look, I'm not saying that Nadal, Federer, or the Alcaraz rivalry is not bad. It's brilliant when they play each other on court. But I think that's without them having this edge and without them having a bit of spice when they play. And I think if we had that, it would just add another element to it. And I know, maybe I'm being a bit silly, but I just think it would make it so much more fun for everyone involved.
No, I 100% understand, but do you not? So you're trying to say you think they need a bit of maybe like a Kyrgios mentality or something?
Not even that. I just think, like, a little bit more, like, not saying, oh, this guy's brilliant. He can easily beat me. A bit more like, I don't know. Maybe a little bit more controversy. I don't know. I'm not necessarily. I don't agree with a lot of what Kyrgios does, but, like,
not all like, we're best friends.
Not all just this narrative that they're like, these brilliant friends, brilliant rivalries, better friends. Like, no, we want the rivalry to take the priority. And I know, we want them to be good friends at the end of it all. Like, of course, like, when they've hanged the rackets up, I want them to be excellent friends. But, like, right now,
at the beginning of their career as well.
Yeah. But look, hey, it's fine. I mean, I'm still happy with the with the mobile being a bit pedantic. But Cole, we should get on to our predictions. Sinner Alcaraz, Cole, the rematch that I think pretty much everyone in sport is predicting. Maybe not everyone wants, but everyone definitely thinks going to happen. Cole, who have you got coming through and winning for the first slam of the season?
So, for the Australian Open finals winner, my prediction, I'm going to keep going with what I originally said on the last podcast. And obviously, before this even happened and before we even thought about it, I said that it was going to have to be an Alcaraz Sabalenka win, just for a lot of people to say Sabalenka's still at the top, Alcaraz is still at the top, no matter what happened throughout the time off. Sabalenka had the thing with the Battle of the Sexes, Alcaraz had the thing with him leaving his coach. Everyone else didn't have much going on within the news of the public eye, and I think they will really want to make that story happen. And it'll be even better if they said something like that in the final speech, but knowing them, I don't think they would. They'd just be really happy and nice. But they wouldn't be like, yeah, to all the haters out there, I still won, or something like that, or just something cool. But I just don't think those type of guys. Alcaraz is way too nice to do that, and I just don't think Sabalenka thinks there's anything wrong with what happened there. But so I think it's gonna be a good one either way. I'm gonna stick with my prediction and say Alcaraz to win the Australian Open, first slam of the year, and yeah, just do all that. I think it's gonna be a very incredible match with Sinner, like you said, like everyone knows it's gonna be. But yeah, that's the final say for what I've got, Nick. How about you? I know you obviously an avid Sinner fan, and I'm on the Alcaraz side. I don't know if you we're on born the same day as Alcaraz. He's born the same day as Sinner, so we've also got that kind of switching sides. But maybe you'll come to my side this time. What we got? What are you thinking? Is it going to be Alcaraz?
Well, I'd say I'm more of an Alcaraz fan, to be honest. I mean, even though I am born the same day as Sinner, obviously I love, they're great tennis players. I like watching them both. Obviously, unbelievable players, unbelievable, levels that they have. And before I get into my prediction, like this, well, my take just then was not a slight at them. It's more at the tennis media, at the all of the videos are going out. That I think we need to just like take a back seat from that and just like more on the tennis, more on the not building them up and all these questions leading towards one another. But yeah, God, I completely agree. I think Alcaraz has got a lot to prove. I think he's going to want to prove it. If he wins this Australian Open, he'll become the youngest man ever to complete the career slam, and I think that's something he desperately wants. He's never won this title before. Sinner's defended it 2 years in a row, and I think Alcaraz is going to really want to chuck him off his throne like Sinner did last year at Wimbledon. And I think we're going to get an Alcaraz win down under. And look, I think it's going to be, again, I think I could easily see a 5-setter, maybe even a Roland Garros match. But I think, like you said, so many things going off court for Alcaraz, which is unusual. Usually it's Sinner with the stuff going off court.
Yeah.
The Ferrero split. He's got a lot to prove, and I think he's going to prove it in Australia to win this title and become the youngest man ever to complete the career slam, which would be just something truly remarkable. But Carl, I think that's about it from our draw preview. We are literally a few hours away from the start of play, so hopefully we'll get this podcast out before it starts. Rod Laver Arena tomorrow starts with Sasnovich against Paolini, followed by Zverev Diallo, Sabalenka against Rakitamanga Raducanu, and then the last match will be Alcaraz Walton, and then Margaret Court Arena we've got Sakkari against Jean-Jean, we've got Cerundolo against Zhang, followed by Brooksby against Bublik, followed by Raducanu against someone's name I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce. John Cain Arena is where you find Britt Arteferi up against Flavio Caboli, followed by Elina Svitolina against Carolina against Buksha, and then you got Francis Tiafoe against Jason Kubler, followed by Olga Danilovic against the wildcard Venus Williams. Carl, a lot of good matches to look forward to in just a few hours' time. I'll be getting up extremely early to watch them, so very little sleep after editing this podcast. But there we go. That is the fun of Australia, and that's the fun of the Australian Open here in the UK. We'll be back very shortly. Most likely we'll be with you daily, potentially round by round, but we'll definitely be with you at regular intervals to catch you up on everything that's going on at the Australian Open. It should be a fun one. Thank you very much, Kyle. Goodbye, everyone. I hope you enjoyed watching, listening, whatever you did. Please give us 5 stars. Please follow us on social media. Everything, all the links to help to support us are in this episode's description. We'll speak to you very soon. About everything Australian Open. But for now, though, goodbye from the Chip in Charge Tennis Podcast.
Yeah.